Welcome to Working DJ. My name is OJ, and I'm here with Ashley Anngora, who is a dear friend, an incredibly talented producer of many different genres of electronic music, also an incredible DJ, and just all around creative and wise and fun person. And she has so much wisdom to share about the art of being creative and balancing different aspects of your life. And I'm really excited to hear what she has to say. So, Ashley, I would like to open with when someone asks you at a party or wherever, what do you do? How do you usually answer?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me. And that's like the best intro I could have ever gotten. I should introduce myself like that at parties and see see how it goes. But yeah, I feel like when I first started getting into like DJing and producing, I definitely introduced like if someone asked what I was doing, I would say my day job. Now I feel like over the past year or so, I've gotten more comfortable in music and now I say DJ producer, which feels weird sometimes. It gets interesting reactions, but I feel like that's more how I like resonate with what I'm doing in my day to day. So that's what I say.
Do you change that depending on like who you're talking to or where you are? Or do you just find you're mostly in spaces where like that's what you want to lead with?
It depends. I think for the most part, it is DJ producer. I think if I'm in a more professional environment, I'll stick with my day job just because people at work know that I do this, but a lot of my music, as you know, is not safe for work, so I don't necessarily want them listening to some of my songs. So, yeah, I think outside of that, mostly just say DJ though.
And for those who are just getting to know you, what do you do for your day job?
Yeah, so my day job is in marketing and advertising. So I work at an ad agency and I'm responsible for digital ads, so social media, website, Google, all that fun stuff that annoys people every day.
Amazing. Does that like knowledge of social media filter into how you approach music at all?
It's a blessing and a curse, I must say, because I've been in social media for a while now, so I understand how it works. I understand ads, targeting, budgets, what the algorithm wants. And I think it's one of those things where you see how the sausage is made. And now that I know all that, I want to do the complete opposite for my personal self. So I think it's helpful in that I do understand it. I know it works. Because I'm dealing with it all day, it makes it really exhausting to do it from a personal music standpoint. And I think a lot of things that I see on social media that I know work, like the clickbaity, like text or the short videos or things that get reactions or things that I don't like doing. Like I personally scroll past those. I'm interested more in like artistic things or longer form, which doesn't always do well. And that's what I like to record for myself. So it's helpful in that like I know what I should be doing, but I think it just made me stubborn in what
Yeah.
I actually end up doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like it makes you want to set yourself apart and also probably just like come across more human than coming across like an ad.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like I have I have a lot of thoughts on social media. It's not what it used to be for sure, and I see the benefits and the values just from my everyday work, but it's just I just feel like a lot of times it's a very curates a very homogenous like society, and because everyone's trying to, make it, they're trying to get the views, they're trying to get discovered in whatever field you are, and you tend to see a lot of the same things, and yeah, it works, but to your point, it makes it hard to stand out, and it's kind of a longer road to do that because it takes more time for to people to adjust to something different. But I think the payout is worth it in the long run. Like those are the people that I think have more longevity who kind of start slower and set themselves apart than getting those like quick wins, but teach their
Yeah.
own.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Um, I so I want to hear more about like kind of the balance of it all and like how your work informs your music. But I think just to kind of paint a picture of you and how you approach this dual path of working while also pursuing music, could you paint us a picture of like your kind of day to day life right now? What does a normal week or a normal weekday look like for you, and how are you fitting it all in?
Yeah, I think it's very hard for me to fit music in, especially during a weekday. I mainly work closer to East Coast hours, so my day starts at 7 a.m. It ends, in like mid-afternoon, which isn't terrible, but I think by the time I've like decompressed from the day, do a workout, run whatever errands I have to do, I find that it's like almost time for me to go back to bed. And then to
Yeah.
make music, I'd be kind of like forcing myself to like stay up way too late and then getting up at 7 a.m. That's not always realistic. So I would say most nights it's not in there unless there's like a task I have to do, like if I'm releasing a track and I know I need to get something done, or I have to like edit a post or something, like those are easier for me to do. For me to actually work on music, I have to like mentally plan out my week and like mentally decide the days I'm going to do it, because those are the days where I kind of put myself, I guess, on the back burner and like know
Mhm.
that after work at whatever time I'm doing music, and if I don't start it right away, I'm not going to get to it, and that's my day. And same with like weekends or things like that. Like I have to have mentally know when it's going to happen for me to force myself to kind of like get in the mindset and
So, how does that like look in practice? Like, do you like literally write on the calendar, like, I'm going to work on music for 3 hours on Tuesday night?
kind of, yeah, honestly. I have like a I have like a mental schedule of my week, and so I'll be like, okay, like Tuesday I have a doctor's appointment. Say whatever, Thursday is going to be music night. So if I want to like work out, that has to be before work. If someone wants to hang out, like I probably know, or I need to like rearrange my days. So I always have like a mental schedule, which sometimes is nice, sometimes it's a curse also, but that's like the best way for me to like make sure I'm actually like working on things and getting them done.
Yeah. I mean, just from knowing you and like having collaborated with you, I feel like I've observed that you, when something needs to be done, you just do it. I feel like you don't linger over things. And so maybe like you said, that is like finding a moment during the day to like get the promo post up or, respond to an email. Is that something, is that how you've always been, or like really kind of disciplined and just able to act quickly like that? Or is that something that you've learned by having to juggle everything?
It's like funny that people keep telling me I'm disciplined and I feel like I'm lazy. So it's like really nice to hear. But yeah, no, I think having like an extra activity or hobby or job definitely has made it. So I used to live on the East Coast, and there I just had my 9 to 5 and then I'd hang out with friends. So I didn't really like need to schedule a ton of things in because my evenings are mostly free. But when I moved out here, even like from when I used to like roller skate or whatever activity, I feel like it's made me more disciplined because I know I want to have the time to do this, but then I also need time for myself and my well-being, or to see my friends, or to maybe go on a date. Crazy. So I feel like you kind of have to be, or else you won't get all your stuff done, or you'll hyper focus on things on the opposite end of the spectrum too. So yeah.
Yeah. It's something I'm trying to be better at. And I feel like I'm really good at it at work. But then anything for myself, I will take days to respond to. And so I'm trying to like personally rebalance that. Yes, I do. Called out.
Called yourself
No, but
out.
it's true. So you mentioned that you used to live on the East Coast and like you were doing music then. So how did you end up getting into music and pursuing it at the level that you are?
I mean, so I think my whole life I've always been like a huge music head. I got that from my dad. He used to have vinyl all over the house. But for a long time, I was interested in it, but I didn't really know like what. And like the classic, I was a kid and was doing singing lessons and played the violin and the flute. And me and my friends had a little girl band, and I was doing all those things. So I've always kind of like had that interest. And then as I got older, I started looking into like careers, and a lot of people I talked to in the industry, just I did not hear like many positive things. So that kind of deterred me from like a corporate standpoint looking into it.
The music industry?
Yeah, like, and a lot of people I knew, and everyone's experience is different, but they were like tour managers or doing a lot of things that they were kind of a lot of work and like not a lot of pay or not a lot of payoff. And I don't know if maybe it just was the nature of the role they were in at that time, or they weren't feeling fulfilled, but it kind of deterred me from leaving my cozy 9 to 5 and exploring something else. the last thing I ever thought was that I would actually end up as like an artist. I never thought a DJ, ever in a million years. But very cliche. I was at Coachella like for my first time in like 2020, 2021, I think. And I saw Dom Dalla play, who I also had never heard of really. And that was my first time actually really experiencing house music. And I was like, whoa, like what is this? So I kind of went home and looked more into it and looked up some artists. And my friends that I've made out in LA were also like DJ producers in like the techno space. So my friends that I made out here were all in the music scene. And so I kind of got inspired from learning more about the genres and everything. I bought some decks. They helped me learn. And another blessing and a curse with me is like when I do something, I'm like, I'm going all in. Like, I want to be successful. I want to do well. And yeah, it kind of all started from there. And I started booking gigs. And yeah, now I'm here
Now you're crushing
talking to
it.
you.
Playing a ton, releasing a ton. How many songs did you release this last year?
This year, I actually think only four this year,
Okay.
but I have eight lined up for next year. So
Okay.
already.
Yes. I knew you had like a ton that are coming out, and it felt like
Yeah.
you like I don't know. I feel like you did a very good job with your promo and stuff. Like all of your releases this year, I felt like they really went off.
Well, because they all came at the same time. It was three tracks in a month, and I was like dying. And then like they're like coming out for some reason whenever I'm on
Yeah.
vacation, my tracks come out, and I was like in Japan, waking up to like 40 texts a day, being like, oh my God, I gotta get this shit ready.
That's kind of interesting. Like one thing for me more recently when I go on vacation, I'm trying to like have it be a vacation from work and like personal commitments too, including music. And do you feel the need to do the same, or are you like, this is my time off, like I can do anything for music and kind of do it that way?
That's a great question. So I think it's a mix of both. So for a while, and I've gotten better about it, but like when I was on a vacation somewhere or a work trip even, like I tried to get a DJ set in at the very least. So I'm like, hey, I'll be in New York. Can I play? Or like I was lucky to play in Tokyo and things like that. But to your point, like it gets exhausting because it's like you're not really ever getting a break from work because I'm working my day job and doing music and then I'm going on this vacation and I'm still doing music.
Yeah.
So I've tried to get better about it. And when I was in Japan, I for that trip specifically, I did have a couple gigs, but I like worked really hard to get like everything done before I left so I could not work on music outside of that. And somehow like there were still things, like there was still like a post I needed to do or someone I
Yeah.
needed to call or whatever. So I feel like it's like almost this is an exaggeration, but it is a bit like a 24/7 job where you're kind of like
Yeah.
on call as much as you try not to be.
It's
So it
very
can
like
definitely get hard.
unregulated, and it's like often with your friends. So you're just texting and you're like, it's great in that way that it is so informal, but also I don't know about you, but I feel like I just always have like a mental informal to-do list of music things in my head. And yeah, it's very hard to switch off of.
I feel like there's always something. It's Tuesday during our winter break. I have 2 weeks off and I already have anxiety that I'm not going to get it all done. Like I'm already
Yeah.
stressed and it's been like I'm like 3 days in. So yeah, and I feel like it's nice working with your friends. Like obviously we've worked together, but then sometimes it's hard because it's like your friends and you don't want to like let your friends down. And if your friend needs
Yeah,
something, you want to be there. So it's definitely like a little bittersweet. Or like even
for
when we
sure.
hang out, it's like I feel like we tried to talk about other things, but it all comes back to music anyway. So
Yeah. So we like, but
yeah,
no,
yeah,
it's true. Like one thing that is kind of, core to why I want to do these interviews is that I think, being always on like this and juggling all this can be very overwhelming. It can feel really lonely. Um, and it can definitely lead to burnout. And I'm curious, like, if you feel like you've experienced burnout on it, and also just more generally, like, what do you do to reignite your creative energy or like your artist self when it's just feeling like so much work?
yeah. I feel like I've gotten to the point where I'm like in a perpetual state of burnout, which is not good just because I've had some changes at my day job, so I'm taking on like a lot more work there in addition to I'm like to your point, like I'm actually like releasing a lot of music and like collaborating and getting things done, which is great. But trying to balance that with like the day job, it kind of I feel like and you're not really getting that break ever. It definitely kind of builds and builds and builds. And sometimes it does feel like I'm just trying to get through the day. I'm just trying to get the song done, just trying to take this promo, like, and it
Yeah.
does become like a chore and tedious. So I think, and it's something I'm like actively working on because it's not a great place to be in, like mentally for sure.
I don't want you to be perpetually burnt out.
Neither do I. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something I'm trying to work on. And even just things like truly taking a break. Like I'm turning my phone off for 2 days and I'm watching TV and I'm just or
Yeah.
reading my ACOTAR book. Shout out charity. So I think like really like taking a step away and I think a big thing too is like if I'm not working, I feel guilty. So I'm really trying to get better about being like, it's okay to relax. It's okay to not be working. Or the last thing too is I'll like text my friends and I'll be like, hey, I'm like not in a good space with this, like musically. Can we just like mess around in Ableton or like can we just DJ for fun? And like I've like made like my friend Cold Sweat, I like texted him and I was like, can we make like an edit? And I like went to his house and we made like a song that's never going to be released, but it was just like a fun, like, let's get out of our heads. Like it's not that
Yeah.
serious.
Like take the pressure off.
Yeah, because there's so much. I feel like now too, I feel like I didn't have a ton of pressure on myself at first because I'm like, I'm new, no one really knows me and I'm not huge by any means, but I feel like people are starting to know me. So like I feel more and more pressure with like each track.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It's definitely a lot.
Yeah. I relate to that. And you've shared that with me too before. Like, let's just, make a bootleg or something like, because that is like a great example of really low pressure music making because you can release it if you want. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You also don't have to like sit down and say, okay, I need to come up with my best idea ever. Are there any like books or I don't know, mix series or anything you like that have really helped you kind of find your inspiration musically or help you find it when you are in those moments of burnout?
I wouldn't say like any of those as examples, but I think like I mean, yeah, I think I just listen to artists that are kind of left field that I really like, or I'll like turn to
Hmm.
my friends. Like I really, you know this, I love Miss Bashful, like DJ Fuck Off, like kind of all those artists that are doing things a little bit different. That's not for everyone, but it is for me. So sometimes
Hmm.
I'll kind of like I made an edit of a DJ Fuck Off song. I'll try to listen to artists that I really care about and see like what type of music are they playing, like how have they changed over time, like where are they releasing, and most of them self-release, which is kind of interesting too. So I feel like I look to them in that place, but I try to actually stay away from more technical things because I get very like I don't know if it's OCD, but I can get very like particular. So if someone like if I read a book or someone tells me like this is what you should do,
Yeah.
it's like very hard for me to like not do that. So I
Think
try to
outside the
actually
box.
yeah, so like I've gotten a lot of like I've learned from you. I've like gotten lessons from my other friends that just show me like, hey, here's what I do. Here's like something you could do. And then I pull from all those places as inspiration. It's hard. I can't like if I read a book, I'm like I was really good at math because it was black and white and I
Yeah,
just need to get away from that for me to do well in creative spaces.
for sure. And also, I think like when you get to a certain level of experience, like you figure out how much detailed instruction you want or don't want. And yeah, maybe that, you know, level of detail isn't helpful anymore because you've already figured out the way of working that you like.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always like different ways to learn and like there's different techniques that like that are out there and like even Ableton is like there's so much in there that I might not ever know because there's just so much in there. So I think I don't know, I like collaborating with people a lot because I get to see how they do it and then to your point I can say this works for me or like this doesn't and take that back when I make my own music.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about like just kind of the balance or the duality of your job and and your career. And um, I guess first question, like, have you thought about going full time with music, and what entices you about that idea, or what makes you hesitate?
Yeah, definitely something I've thought about. I think ultimately that would be the goal, and even like before music, like part of why I moved out to LA was because I was feeling like really unfulfilled, just like doing a 9 to 5 and nothing really else. I think what entices me about it is I really want to like make an impact like in life, whether that be even big or small. Like a lot of my music, I think I might have said it's not always for everyone, and it's made to express like my opinions on things in day-to-day life. Like boys are sluts. Weirdly, boys love that, and really it's kind of like a diss to them. So yeah, I want to make an impact with just getting people to think differently, kind of share these like ideals that might not be like the normal ideals of like getting married or having kids or living your life for men or whatever it is, but I want people to not realize it, I guess, and kind
Yeah,
of translate that to the dance floor. So ultimately, like that's I think what entices me is there's an opportunity to like make a change or cause someone to think differently. I think what deters me um, is it's very volatile and it's not secure, and it takes a really long time to get to a place where that can be your full-time job, just from like a even like a monetary standpoint. Like I couldn't, if I like, my views are my own, if I quit my job today, like I have like savings, but like it's not like there's a high chance I'd still have to get a second job or another job, and like
yeah,
it's just not, nothing's guaranteed. And I think we've both seen our friends like try to go through that and kind of come back to work, and
yeah.
yeah, it's just a long road.
Are you like, you kind of like that mental stability and security of knowing that you have the income? Like, is that, I guess, like a personal trait of yours? I would say that's like something of myself, for example. Or do you see yourself as someone who could take that risk and would be comfortable with the risk, but you just know it's like not right for right now?
Another mix of both. Like I think the economy is really scary to me right now. The idea of quitting my job and not being able to find secure income for like a year is very scary to me. Like even
Yeah,
like it's hard to even like get like a waitress job, like coffee shop job, like
yeah,
just to pay for rent. So I think that's honestly, so if this was 10 years ago and it was easier in a different time, I would say maybe I'd feel differently about that. But I think that's, it's less about the stability and more about the I don't know if I could get back
yeah.
to stability.
The uncertainty of like our world, basically.
Yeah, yeah. But I do dabble with, a lot of times it's kind of like, do I take the risk? Like if, and quit and see if things play out well, to your point, like I don't know if this is the right time, like, but also like when is the right time? So that's something I've definitely been like struggling with mentally too, about when does that happen? Like at what point does that make sense?
One thing that kind of stems from this that I wanted to ask you about is, do you tend to tell people um, about, like, other music people about the fact that you have a day job? Or like, do you hide it from one or the other? Because one thing I personally have felt, and I don't know how real it is or how in my mind, but that there's kind of like a stigma, especially more on the music side of things, around having a full time job while you're also pursuing music, and kind of like the perception of, if you don't take that risk, like, you're not fully committed. I'm curious if that's something you agree with or have experienced.
I don't know if I felt that exactly, about like like a stigma of having a full-time job. I think part of it is I just don't like talking about work. Like I have to live it all week. I don't want to talk about it. And I think a lot of times when people hear that I work in like social media or ads, they tend to just like poke at me
Mm,
with like not in a bad or like a negative way, but they'll just start asking me a lot of questions and they'll talk about how that must like help me so much, and it kind of like this conversation, and it's nothing
kind of
against
like
them.
I asked you.
Yeah, but like I knew you were going to do that. But yeah, I think I just don't like talking, and it's nothing to do with those people. I just don't like talking about work, and it's less about like that perception of me, because I think a lot of people like have to have a day job and people know that. It's just I just don't like talking about it. And then I think part of it too, like to be honest, is like then I feel guilty because like these people are like, "Oh, you should be so good at like social media and getting followers and content." And then like I look at my metrics and like part of it's
I feel
because I'm
like you are though.
stubborn. I'm like, well, the metrics tell a different story sometimes, but it's sometimes I kind of get in my head about it about like, oh, I should be doing so much better and more, and I'm stubborn and I'm not. So that's like
Yeah.
part of it too.
Yeah. I mean, well, no one else can see those metrics. So, I feel like most people think of you as being very good at content. But um that's no, it's super interesting. And I can kind of, yeah, I can definitely relate to that idea of not wanting to talk about work. Um, you're there to probably talk more about music or just make friends. And like, also, there's just that thing of general, not music or not music, but like when you're at a party and you're talking to someone and you just end up talking about what each other do for work, and you're like, okay, cool. Like, this isn't really like filling my soul right now.
Yeah.
Like, I wish there were more easy small talk topics that didn't have to do with work.
You know what's so funny about that too? I was just on the East Coast for a trip and I heard so many people like when I was like on the train or walking around, they were all talking to each other about like work and like their
Hmm.
day jobs. And I feel like out here, all my friends and I, we like don't want to talk about work and we talk
Yeah.
about like everything but work. So it was like really interesting to like, it was like a stark contrast that I noticed that like there's just like different mentalities, I think, different places about it and like what they talk
Yeah,
about.
for sure. Well, in LA, like people, as we're talking about, like us, have like five different things that they
Yeah.
do. So we don't only need to talk about our careers. Even if there's not like a stigma, is there anything that you wish more people understood about the life of working full time and being a leader while also pursuing music?
I mean, I feel like I would hope people know this, but it's absolutely exhausting. Like it is so tiring to do that, and I feel like it's really hard to balance. You're almost like two different people. Like I'm like my work self in my corporate environment, and then I'm like my DJ self outside of work. And sometimes it's hard to like flip back and forth. Like there's times like Ashley Anngora is my DJ name, but there's times at work that they'll be like, oh, like I have to introduce myself and I almost say it and then I like catch myself and I'm like, Davis, Ashley Davis.
Ashley A. Davis.
Yes, that's what my name is on my Skype or my Teams. Because there
That's
were two of
amazing.
us. Yeah, there were two
Yeah,
Ashley Davises, but at one time,
well,
but
that's convenient.
I
But
know.
Angora is not your middle name, right?
No, my middle name's Anne. So it's
Okay.
close. But
Yeah,
I added the Gora.
it works.
Yeah. Yeah,
How
but
did
yeah,
you,
oh, go ahead.
or I know how you got that name, but do you want to share how you chose your name?
Yeah, it's like a little twisted web a little bit. So I'm like a huge Sailor Moon nerd and her name in Japanese means bunny. So I wanted to do something playing off of bunny or rabbit. And while I was thinking about it, my cousin, she lives in Canada, because I'm also Canadian. She was a DJ slash burlesque dancer, and her burlesque name was Bunny Angora. And then when I Googled it, Angora is a type of bunny, and my middle name's Anne, so I was like, I'm just gonna be Ashley Angora because it also
Perfect.
sounds cool.
Yeah.
And people think it's my real name. It's like it's really funny.
No, it does. It
I'm like, I'll
has really
take it.
nice, like a nice flow to
Alliteration.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how that happened.
When you like mentioned having a dual life almost, it helps you kind of feel what helps you like feel present in both of those or feel okay with having both of those identities, without feeling like you're failing at one or but succeeding in the other, or just simply that you're pulled in two directions.
Yeah, I think like with my day job, it's like that's been my life since I graduated college. So I don't think I feel like I'm failing at that place. I feel like sometimes, and I've always kind of felt this way that like I'm not fully myself just because of like the nature of corporate life and how you need to behave and show up and dress and all that type of thing. So that's always been a
Yeah.
personal struggle of mine. And to be honest, I think sometimes I think it's less about I think it's just balancing both of them, honestly, and like also balancing like a life. So it's like it's really hard to be going from working 7 a.m. to like 3 or 4 p.m. to then DJing that night at 2 a.m. and getting home at 6 a.m. to then logging back onto work.
I
Like
literally
you
don't know how you do that.
no, like there's some if I play during the week, I'm up for 24 to 48 hours and I have to, and
Yeah.
like I'm on like at work, like and I'm not
Yeah.
doing drugs to stay awake in case people are wondering, because I'm sure you are, but it's a lot of Celsius, which is maybe just as bad, but
Celsius is kind of a drug.
it's not a drug, but it's an acceptable one. But yeah, I think it's just hard to kind of flip flop like the schedules and going from
Yeah.
like sitting on my computer and like giving people direction and responsible for development for like being all excited and jumping. I'm not really a
Yeah.
big jumper, but fist bumping to a crowd. So I think it's just hard to flip flop between the two and find time for like a life and like spending time with friends and trying to
Yeah.
go out and stuff.
Do you ever feel like work, day job is like pulling you in more than you want it to be? Like, are there, I guess, kind of like social, like politics or, promotion related pressures that, you feel like demand your attention for a certain amount of time or like are kind of like trying to push you to go down that path versus go down the music path? Or are they just so separate that you don't experience that?
I mean, they're definitely separate things to me, but like, I mean, I do experience that with my day job. So like part of what I was saying is like there's been some changes at work and I have a lot more responsibility, but that's also it's great because they're trusting
Yeah.
me with it, but it's also like a lot more work and like I have a lot of travel for work also, which is hard to balance with like personal travel. So like I have the first month of 2026, 3 work trips in like a month.
God.
So, and that's like exhausting. So I think there's definitely like demands and expectations of like my performance at work. And it's
Hmm.
hard to keep up with that and also meet those same demands and expectations that I have for myself or that other people have for me in music and find time to sleep and put out quality stuff, which isn't always sometimes like
Yeah.
I'm working finishing an EP and like the last song I was like rushing to finish and I was kind of like I don't know if this is my best, but it's done. And you know what? We'll
Yeah.
see how it does. Like, so
Sometimes
yeah,
that's just what you have to do. And that
exactly.
is the hardest part is like you're putting that expectation on yourself. Like only
Yeah.
you are going to ensure that you get it done.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I want to just have a couple more questions, and then wrap up. But when you picture your ideal artist life, do you think it is 100% music, or would it include some sort of work or pursuit outside of music? And that doesn't necessarily mean like your day job, like it would just mean some other, it could be any.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to like be just DJing and just producing and having all my time dedicated to that. Because I think I would just be a lot better at it. But I think I feel like I can't do one thing. Like it's just not who I am. So I would love to have like a nonprofit was always something I was interested in. My idea growing up is I wanted to get a lot of money so I could start this really cool animal shelter for animals that like they're not in cages and they can like be living and I could
Uh,
hire like housekeepers to stay with them and they all get good homes. That's like always been
Wait, I want
something I
like
want
a
to
dog
do.
farm, so we can do
Yeah,
this
okay,
together.
we can do you want to collab? Yeah. No, but I just yeah, there's just I don't know. I always have loved animals and like I've adopted like or most of my animals are have been adopted like growing up and
Yeah,
stuff. So I'm like I want them to have like good space and there's probably other things I would want to do just with how life is evolving and some things happening and I think some other causes that I would want to be involved in.
yeah,
But that was always like my dream, like a little like animal haven.
I love that dream.
Yeah.
And you can work on music while they run around and you
Yeah,
pet them. Yeah,
exactly. Moral support.
I love that. And then just to like close us out, any words of advice or inspiration for other artists who are on this similar path?
Yeah. Let me think about that for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like you just have to know. I think something that's really important, and it's something that I'm really trying to figure out myself, is like what you want out of it. As far as music goes, like because everyone's path is different, and if you want to be like a big headline touring DJ, like John Summit or someone like Sarah Landry, that's going to be a lot of work, and you're going to be tired a lot, and there's things you're going to have to give up. And it's something where you have to kind of understand, like, do you want that, or is music more of like, this is my hobby, and sometimes I want to play on the weekend or make music for fun. And I think once you figure out that direction, that will help you understand like what you want to do with like your day job and how much effort you want to put in, and when you decide to give up one dream or the other. So yeah, I think once you have like that sense of like this is what needs to happen, you can be successful, and just don't give up. Give yourself some grace. Take rest days. Those are like the
Yeah.
basic things that I'm trying to do myself.
I love that. Is that your personal idea of success? Like world touring on that level? Would that be a dream, or what what would success look like for you right now?
Yeah, so that's actually what I'm trying to map out on this break. So great
I love that.
question. Yeah, no, I mean, I think like I would love to, play big festivals and have big shows, but I think the more that I've succeed with things with like releases and like charting and stuff like that, the more it feels like I'm checking off a box and the less I feel fulfilled. So I'm trying to really think not even just like what does successful feel like, but what does like how will I be happy? How will I be like fulfilled doing this? And like is that playing a sold out festival? I'm sure I would not hate that at all, but it might even be like having someone write me a letter that my song affected them or something. Like so those are the types of
Yeah.
things I'm trying to figure out for. I feel like I'm getting to that point. I'm like I got to figure this out for myself. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm
And I
trying
think
to do.
that could mean more in the long run, but also getting those kinds of notes means you might end up getting booked for a festival that you're like excited about. So it can kind of
Yeah,
fuel each other. But I love that. I'm also excited to hear what you come up with.
thanks.
But no, I really appreciate your time and know you have so much going on. So yeah, it just means a lot that you shared all your experiences. And if people want to catch up with you and listen to your music, what's the best place for them to follow you?
Everywhere. I'm everywhere. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, all my
No,
social
but
my
really,
yeah, yeah, actually. But yeah, all my socials and Spotify and SoundCloud, it's Ashley Anngora, AshleyAnngora, because no one spells it right. So there you go.
perfect.
Alphabet lesson.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ashley.
Cool, thank you.